In today's readings, in many ways, the prophet Elijah foreshadows Jesus. They both wanted to glorify God, and they both sought to do God's will in their lives. And also in today's readings, we have the Our Father. And if we say the Our Father with sincerity of heart, the same will happen to us, where we glorify God and we desire to do God's will in our lives. Now, in that first reading, it was done about 200 BC. And Sirach is writing to the Jewish nation. And at the time, he's trying to tell them how great the heritage is from being a Jew and the great things in the Jewish heritage. But at the time, the Hellenists, the Greeks, were in charge of the empire. And the Jews are dispersed. And many Jews are going over to the Greek way of life, partly because the Greeks are forcing that. But, so there was idol worship. And then the power of the Greeks was amazing, their military power and their technology and their progressive way of thinking. And Sirach tries to shake them up. He says, listen, guys, we worship the true God. We have an incredible heritage. And God has sent us some amazing prophets. And so that's what the book of Sirach does. And today, he highlights the prophet Elijah. And he talks about how Elijah wanted to do nothing but the will of God, and he wanted to reestablish the reign of God in his time. And of course, Elijah was 650 years before Sirach wrote his book in the Old Testament. And it was Elijah, without fear, confronted Ahab, the king, and his evil wife Jezebel, who had killed all the other prophets, but he still confronted them because he knew what they were doing was wrong. And then he didn't die a normal death. He was taken up to heaven in this fiery chariot that came down out of the sky and took him up. And while his replacement Elisha watched all this go on. And in very similar fashion, Jesus is, he foreshadows what Jesus does. And Jesus wanted to just glorify God, and Jesus did God's will in his life. And Jesus confronted the Jewish leaders who hated him. They just wanted to kill him. And Jesus confronted the devil and even dealt the devil a mortal wound. And Jesus' death was anything but routine. With his death, his resurrection, his ascension, his ascending the Holy Spirit down to, on Pentecost. And then he's present in all the sacraments for us. Very, very similar things between Elijah and Jesus. Jesus much greater, of course, but again, a foreshadowing there. And then so to change gears a little bit, today we have the Our Father given to us. And the prayer reflects Jesus' heart. And Jesus wants us to pray the Our Father so that our hearts will be like his. And so if we say, Our Father, if we strive to do God's will in our lives, and if we understand that we will not be forgiven unless we forgive others, then we're starting to understand the Our Father. It's the perfect prayer. It reflects the Gospels, And by saying the Our Father, slowly but surely, step by step, our hearts will change and they'll be like Christ.